They didn't even know we were gone.
That was
You said they stayed down.
yeah. That was weird trying to make the condo. We were able to.
Time to get home.
Okay, it's 6:30. Get started here. This week's code of conduct item is to respect the property of others. I was noticing a couple days ago driving out Rail Park, see these four-wheeler trails coming over the railroad, which obviously not supposed to do, and it rips up the ballast section and everything. And then they're going over onto the Rail Park property. Of course, they don't have permission. Not that I really complain, but I just think that people should be asking when they go drive their four-wheelers across other people's property. And I would almost bet if you drove your four-wheeler across their property, they'd be all worked up. Don't you think? So I wonder if anyone other than Matt noticed that I made a mistake. I didn't change how.
Oh, I did last year.
Yep. We're going to talk about chains here in a moment. Okay, let's see. Corporate announcements right there. We got a new employee, Josh Powers. Is Josh here? No, Josh.
He's in Rygate.
Rygate, okay. Well, we'll let you in on a secret. Josh is the stepson of Bob Kimball. So he's got a high standard to meet for sure. So, you hear that, Josh? And welcome, Josh. Okay, thanks for getting your daily reports in early last week. The accounting department was very grateful, got things running smoothly for the week. And again, still kind of summer, so extra security around the job sites at the end of the weekend, which should be standard anyway. For technical tips, we're going to talk about fluid mechanics and pumps again, kind of a good series to build upon. And we talked about pressure last week and what pressure is, how it's a measurement of force per unit area, like in a fluid typically. Unlike you can have the same force in unit area in like metal or bearing capacity on the ground, but that's usually called stress versus pressure. Pressure is usually a fluid term. And as I promised, we were going to talk about when a pipe changes direction or it has a T-fitting or valves or caps, etc. There's an internal force of water pressure exerted that exerts an unbalanced load on the inside of the pipe, and this internal unbalanced load needs to be restrained either with by the pipeline itself or a thrust block. So I put together an example here with a 12-inch diameter pipe under 100 pounds per square foot pressure. So there's a force exerted on each leg of the pipe. And that's really just the pressure, 100 psi times the area. The area we have 113 square inches, so you multiply that out, and it's 11,000 pounds of force coming in two different directions here. And it's resisted by a thrust block or perhaps internally by the restrained joints if there are restrained joints. So it just gives you a sense of how this pressure resolves into forces. Pressure times an area is force. And then how we resolve it in this case and there was a little bit of confusion on my part when I first put this together. Usually, and part of it is where you reference that angle. I called it 45 degrees. And what it is this angle here, you take half that angle, and you take the sine of 45 degrees. I had my head in a different direction, and I was thinking cosine, because the cosine and the sine are the same for 45 degrees, so the number came out right. It's all about how you measure angles here. So anyway, that's how it's done for coming up with loads for thrust blocks. And there's different options that you could use. You could use a connection restraint, and sometimes the pipes use a restraint within their connections. And like for ductile iron pipes, say, you got field lock gaskets, you've got mega lugs. And amazingly, I think these systems are designed for a 350 psi pipe pressure. I wouldn't necessarily put everything into that at 350 psi for all of us. So frequently, the connection restraining joints are used to engage the pipeline along that where that thrust is to act as an anchor. So the pipe is actually acting like an anchor to hold back that thrust load by anchoring the pipe back into the ground. And so therefore, you need good compaction and everything around the pipe, especially around the bells and stuff to grab it good. And then sometimes you might even have 100% joint restraint, which theoretically might not require any thrust blocks or anything. But again, there's a lot of assumptions going on there. And then you have thrust blocks, which of course we frequently use with a concrete restraint. So it's an external restraint to the pipeline. And it's poured against the backside of that fitting and against hopefully natural and undisturbed soil. So obviously you've seen a lot of little rust block installed there, and often the drawings will give you dimensions on certain size pipelines and soil types and all that. And that also is based on soil types, so the soil bearing pressure. If you're in a clay, obviously you're going to get a lot less bearing capacity than you would out of a glacial till or a hard granular material. So now a particular concern when we're digging next to an existing water line is getting next to a thrust block or next to even a pipeline, even if we're running parallel with the pipeline. So we just got to be keeping that in mind when we do any kind of trench, obviously, or excavation where there could be or are some water lines, especially larger diameter. There's a lot of force there. Typically, small, service lines aren't any kind of big deal, and usually those might be a continuous copper pipe anyway. But whenever we have a water main, we got to be careful around it when we're excavating. And just another note that mechanical joint pipe systems are not restraining systems. So they're just made to give flexibility. You might get something out of it, but you can't count on anything, and you certainly can't count on 350 psi. And also there's a reference I linked to called the Thrust Restraint Design for Ductile Iron Pipe. That's by DIPRA, or the Ductile Iron Pipe Research Association, or something like that. So you can click on that if you're interested. We have for a project profile, last night we had a crew, or yesterday afternoon and into the evening, I had a crew at the Forest Run Condominium Emergency Sewer Repairs. And that's in South Burlington off Timberline Ave. And we responded to this is a condominium association, and it was a 6-inch pipe that served several condo units, and it was plugged. And the condition caused sewer to back up into the condo units, and quite a mess and quite an emergency for those people. So we responded, and the first challenge is figuring out where the line was, which it was somewhat of a guess. And we made some reasonable measures and said, well, it might be here or there, but they focused on a spot, and they were able to quickly locate the pipe, and with reasonably little effort and little excavation. So they uncovered the pipe. See, it's a transite pipe there, and it was plugged, of course, so they smashed the coupling and let the water relieve itself. And then it was cleaned out, and we did our repair. And then at the end, I understand we're going to put, or already have put, a clean out, right? Guys, I don't know who was there. Got a clean out installed there. So now,
It goes both ways.
yeah, okay, two-way clean out. So they'll be able to clean out the pipe, and also next time we'll know, hey, at least it's here and there's the building there. We'll have a better sense of where to find the line if we end up doing it again. So probably pretty much a completed job at this point, other than a little cleanup. So good. Okay. Well, like I said, we're not talking about the role of the spotter. We're going to talk about chains, and Matt's going to give us a little presentation.
Thanks, Ken. Before we
have another.
Before we kind of get into chains, just a quick little refresher, not update, I guess you can say update, just kind of annual refresher just on the overall kind of the federal and state employee rights posters. This is kind of more human resource, but again, it's just a good reminder. These are all the rights you have of employee working at a place of employer, doesn't matter where you go, these are the rights that you have. And it's, some of the newer ones is the equal employer opportunity has actually been updated. I need to update my slide. There's new posters for that. Again, you'll see them in this room, right in the safety, right in this back corner. All that information is readily available. I can print this out to you if anyone that wants to read any more about that. We also have one in the main office. Any big job trailer will have all these regulations on it. It's pretty much just a Cliff Notes version of the regulation, kind of what you need to know. And then the other one is just the sexual harassment, situation, and that in this company that goes right to the highest level. If there's anyone that has any issues that, we just bring it right to the highest level and we deal with that conflict. So just a good refresher about your rights. And any questions, please just ask myself, Ben, Ken, Scott, anybody. Again, this is what it looks like. It's readily available. We'll be pretty much posting here at the main office, and then any extended job trailer will have them. And these are all your rights. So I think it's important that everybody knows, if they want to find some information, there's just a good amount of information there. So moving on to the safety topic. We're going to just kind of talking about chains and just chain safety and a little bit of more hoisting later. But for the most part, I kind of want to talk just about, inspection, making sure we're using the right type of chain for our work practice that we're doing out there. So we do have different categories. Larry keeps a grade 70 chain for transporting. You'll see that. It'll have a 70 written right on a chain link. You'll actually see it. It'll say 70, and those are they're probably mostly gold now, right?
Well, it depends on how old they
Yeah, true, and how old, and they get a little rusty. But again, those are made for binding. Those are actually meant to stretch. Where our grade 80, which we haven't bought anymore, everything now we're buying is grade 100 alloy chain, and that's what this is here. These are not meant to stretch, bind, really even a pulling application is not what we want. These should be free extended, suspended, hoisting chains. All of our chains that we mostly buy are 3/8 grade 100, so they're rated for 3/8 grade 100, and they're rated for 8,800 pounds. So it's a good durable chain, and we can get bigger and beefier chains as necessary, ½ inch and stuff like that. Then your working load capacity adds up. But the biggest thing is, especially some of the chains I might have been on in the field long enough, is that we're always doing kind of daily visual inspections. We need to do a yearly, more technical inspection on our chains. But it's just I'm going to pass this one out, but it's just to quickly identify stretch links, and that's going to be one of our biggest wear items out there in the field is these stretch links. I see them frequently. A lot of it is incorrect rigging techniques, but also it's just overloading the chain, period. And a lot of that time is when we try to pull something out of the ground. The drillers will try to pull some HDP pipe out or something like that, or we're trying to pull a trench box, a wedge trench box, or steel plate, something. We're trying to pull that. That's when we're going to do some damage. So those type of situations that we get into, we should really do a good visual inspection of our rigging to making sure that we can identify a bent link or a stretched link quickly and take this out of service, because this being hoisted overhead with a steel plate could create a very dangerous situation for us. So I'll just kind of quickly pass this out so people can see it.
So Matt, you can use 100 or an 80 for lift.
Yes, that is correct.
Right? It's worded wrong then, right? So the only one you.
Oh yeah, and up.
And up.
And up. I should say and up. Yeah, grade 100 and up. Yeah. We got rid of the grade 80 stuff. It's just, why not, for pretty much the same cost, get more working load limit. This is only for 7,100, where you get 8,800 with a grade 100. So it's just add a little safety factor for us. So that's what you'll see on these chains going around. G80, or for us on the 100s, just say G10. That's a good identification marker. All of our chains hopefully should still have the tags. If it does not, let us know. We can do an inspection quickly. I want to hand these out as well. I got a lot of these free from Haynes Supply. I don't have many left, but again, this is a good tool for like the foremans out there with the job trailers with a lot of rigging. You have a quick little wear identification, and there's these slots here. So you take that chain and you put it vertical, and what you want to do is you want to check the wear of where the links come together, and then you would use this little gauge, and if it fits into the slot of a 3/8 slot to a 9/32 slot, that means you have more than 10% wear, and we should take that out of service. So I'll leave these here if anyone wants them. I know I've been handing these out frequently when I do my more annual inspection of chain links. So again, 10% wear of our links. Take a look for bending, stretching links out there. And this is actually a good visual here that you'll see. This is definitely some wear marks here of overloading your links. And that's what you'll do. You'll take this and you'll slide it through. If it goes all the way down to the 9/32 here, we have enough wear where we need to take that chain out of service. So you see here just bearing points, interlocking, outside, straight side barrels, link by link separation. And again, when chain breaks, I think a lot of people probably have seen it. It's very violent. Small pieces of the chain actually go flying, and it could create quite a hazard out there. Whereas something like synthetic, when that breaks, that pretty much just drops right to the floor. It's less violent. So chains can be very dangerous, and if we're not up to speed on our inspections, it could relate into a potential injury. And the biggest thing, we don't have anything out there, but again, no makeshift devices to rehook chains. This is just like a little small shackle that they use to interlock chain because it broke. They try to do a quick repair. Again, once a chain is defective, take it out of service, bring it back to the safety department. We'll issue a new one. All right. Again, try to make sure that you're really keeping these things clean and orderly in your job trailers. Don't leave them in the back of your pickup trucks where they can get into the rain, snow, everything. Okay, after a while they'll start rusting, and when they start rusting, they really start to lose a lot of their strength, and you start seeing more stretched links and stuff like that. So hang them in your job trailers, make them orderly and clean. That's kind of a goal I like to see, is when a nice clean job trailer, it's organized, we don't have stuff just all over the place. We're really taking care of our equipment, and we're taking pride in our work. So try to focus that this week with chain safety. Inspect them, grab some of these gauges, and keep your trailers nice, orderly. If you have any issues, let us know, and we'll come out and double check it, or we'll replace it in the field. So, is there any questions for chains? That's it. That's all I have. Thank you for your time. Let's stay safe out there.
Treat the chains like your life depends on it.
Yes.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sean Lewis here.
Naked match there. Mike Audette. Joshua Mapper. Next to it.